All right. I guess we get started. Okay, today we're going to talk about Decoding the Matrix. And actually we're going to talk about Decoding the Matrix trilogy. And so this for me is something that I probably should have done a long time ago. How many of you have already seen all three of the Matrix movies?
I've seen.
You've seen them? Good. Mm-hmm. Now you know that the Matrix, as well as the Terminator, I guess is the what do you call it? Not the screenplay, but the I guess the book is based off of something called The Third Eye by Sophia Stewart, an African American woman who was not given credit for her, writing of this story, Third Eye, and it was used for the building of the Matrix as well as the Terminator. She went to court, she won, and everything. So that's good. A lot of people don't know that. You can find it on YouTube.
What's her name?
Sophia Stewart. Just throw in Sophia Stewart Matrix or Third Eye. They have about a 2-hour conversation of her. But anyway, we're going to define, or we're going to decode the Matrix trilogy. For me, this is one of the most profound movies of our time. If you really want to understand consciousness, you want to understand your own journey into higher levels of consciousness, you have to decode the Matrix 1, 2, and 3. So let's get started, and let's talk about power, because ultimately this is what the Matrix is really going to bring forth, the issue of power. I define power by a quote that I got from Wade Nobles that said, "Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition of reality as if it were their own." Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition of reality as if it were their own. That to me is profound. Because whoever defines your reality, if it's not you, you actually become their slaves, minions, if you will, because they have put their thought, their dream, their understanding into your consciousness, and you begin to act out according to that which you believe. One of the great authors or researchers of our time was Joseph Campbell. He's known for saying the statement of "follow your bliss." Any of y'all ever heard of the work of Joseph Campbell? Well, he's a mythologist, and he studied the various mythologies around the world: Native American mythology, Chinese mythology, a lot of West African mythologies, obviously Norse mythology, Greek mythology. And what he concluded is that the one theme that is found in almost every country, among every religion, is the hero archetype. And I think that's profound, because mythology, like for example, what is mythology? A myth, many people think, is a lie or is a fiction. And it can be used in that way to a large extent. But really, when you're dealing with Greek mythology, Chinese mythology, Norse mythology, a lot of cultural mythologies, even your own personal mythology, your own life, how you see your story of your own life, these are not lies. What a mythology is as I would look at it, it is a story that holds a deeper truth than history. A mythology is a sublime truth. It is the personification of how can you put it, of your psyche. The power of mythology is that it gives people answers to who they are, the origin of the universe, their world. It provides a social cohesion to what holds a people together, a common mythology. One of the things that I oftentimes say, Michael Vick probably would not have gotten into trouble like he did with the dog fighting thing if he had understood the role that dogs play in this society, which is a derivation of European societies. For example, everybody heard that this phrase, man's best friend is a dog. Well, why is that? Because you have a mythology, because this is a Roman society, a derivation of a Roman society. We're still under Roman rule. The Roman mythology of Romulus and Remus. These are two twins. You know the story. These were two twins who were left alone in the wilderness, and they were raised by a what?
Wolf.
A she-dog, a she-wolf. Well, wolves are canines. Canines are dogs. Therefore, the mother of Rome was a dog. Well, you know, among black people, one of our central mythologies is the role of the divine feminine, the role of the mother. Therefore, the closest thing to a black man is not his dog. Closest thing to black people coming from our mythological foundation is a woman, symbolized by mama. Mama is very important. When you want to cut at our heart and everything and make us mad, want to fight, we play the dozens. You talk about another person's mama. That's the power of mythology. I really believe that if Michael Vick had understood that, he would understood that. He said, why are these people acting this way about a dog? I mean, I didn't kill a man. You know, I wasn't involved in men fighting. I was involved in dog fighting. Anyway, that's that. Well, Wade Noble's an Afrocentric scholar. He actually said this in a lecture he gave, that myth reveals a people's personality, potentialities, and probabilities. If you really want to know a person, know yourself, know another people, you must learn their mythologies. Mythology is very powerful. Now, significant in understanding mythologies is to understand the symbolic language used in mythology, particularly as it relates to characters in a mythological story. Is called archetypes. Archetypes. Well, what's an archetype? An archetype is a trait of behavior personified in maybe a human or in an event that basically fleshes out in a personification way behavior. So you have archetypes of the hero archetype, the victim archetype, the father archetype, the villain archetype, the mother archetype. Every archetype has also a shadow. In other words, it's not a question of good or bad. It's a question of everything produces a negative. Everything that casts a light also casts a shadow. Now, I say all that because if we're going to develop higher consciousness, we have to understand archetypes and mythologies. We have to begin to realize that all people have mythologies. Chinese people have mythologies. Jewish people have mythologies. That's hard to believe because a lot of times we tend to think that that's history. You know, the story of Garden of Eden, the story of the Tower of Babel. We're dealing with mythologies. That doesn't mean that it's a lie or that it's not true. It actually is a deeper truth because it actually fleshes out levels of our psyche, levels of our understanding that you just can't get from history. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Therefore, a mythology communicates the language of the soul. If you want to know yourself, you have to understand your mythologies. If you want to understand a nation or a people, you have to understand mythologies. And you just ask yourself, when we begin to look at what's out in movies today and all that kind of stuff, y'all, what did you got? You got the retelling of the Batman story. Why? Why are they doing that? What is it about this Batman, Joker and the Batman, this duality, these archetypes, the hero, as you said, and the villain, in this constant battle with one another? Superman mythology, another hero mythology, like unto the Christ story. If you notice, for sure, if you notice, like in the way the Christ story is told in the Bible, it follows the pattern of Heru or Horus and many other mythological gods of the ancient world. Well, why is it written that way? It's written that way not to be taken as history, but to be taken as your psychological history, because Jesus or the Christ is every man, every woman, has the Christ potential. And it is the story of your own soul development. So you have Christian mythology, Jewish mythology, Islamic mythology. The danger of is, I believe, that when people don't understand mythology and they get more caught up into literalism, it shuts down their human evolution of their soul. One of the great mythologies that is actually nothing more than a modern day way of telling the Christ story or the Buddha story or any other mythological story is the Matrix. And you have to see the Matrix in its 3 versions. Version 1, version 2, version 3. Now, what I want to say is this, is that the Matrix is broken down into 3 videos. Video 1, which we're going to look at today, is about what is the Matrix. Video 2 of the Matrix, what is called Matrix Reloaded, I think that's the name of it. Matrix Reloaded is why are we in the Matrix? And video 3, which is Revolutions, is about how to get out of the Matrix. Now today we're going to focus on the first part. Anybody got any questions? Any comments on this whole thing? One of the good books I think that really that is really, put that on the camera. One of the good books that is that's really good in understanding archetypes is a book by Carolyn Myss. Many of y'all are familiar with that because we've talked about her work before. It's called Archetypes. Archetypes. So I would truly put that. That's a popular book. I would truly put that in your library. Okay. Let's kind of get going. Okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna look at what is the Matrix. Now, it's one of the things I want to say as we get started. What's interesting about Matrix 1, Matrix 2, and Matrix 3 is that Neo, in the beginning of each one of those, y'all have already seen the Matrix, right? Think about it. In each of the matrices that come out, where is Neo? What is he doing? First one, he's asleep. In the second one, he's asleep. In the third one, he's asleep. Also, you notice in the Matrix, in the first one, Trinity, who represents the divine feminine, Neo represents the divine masculine. Also, you discover that she's always in trouble. She's in distress. She's in distress in Matrix 1 and 2 for sure, and in Matrix 3. So you see patterns are developing. Somebody actually understands something. Pay attention to numbers in the Matrix. Numbers. Pay attention to relationships, particularly male and female. Like you see Trinity and Neo. Neo represents, as a matter of fact, let me just say, Neo is the Latin word for new, but it also is an anagram, N-E-O, which is also O-N-E, because Neo is the one, but it also means new. Neo is the new man, and Neo represents Christ consciousness, and also he represents the neocortex. That's that part of your brain where consciousness is developed. So Neo is about developing consciousness. He is, from a Kabbalah standpoint, Neo is Adam Cadman. He's every man. Trinity is the divine feminine. So ultimately we're looking at man and woman, the masculine principle of God, the feminine principle of God. Now we're going to go a little bit more deep into the whole thing of these characters as we go through the movie. I'm not going to try to explain all the characters on the front. We want to look at it through the eyes of the movie. But that's what we want to look at. But pay attention to symbols and numbers and repeated phrases, because you really got to put it together. So we're going to introduce to a lot of characters. You know, we got to meet Morpheus. We have to meet the Oracle. We have to meet Agent Smith. because these appear to be consistent characters throughout the book. So I mean throughout the movie. So that's very important. So let's get started. Oh, one other thing. Let's keep in mind that Neo's other name. Anybody remember Neo's other name in the movie? His like common name, yeah. Thomas Anderson. Thomas Anderson. Now think about this. Thomas is a character in the Bible. Okay, a disciple. Means twin. Okay? He's called Didymus Thomas. He's the doubter. Okay? Yeah. But anyway, he's Thomas. In Gnostic literature, in some Gnostic, not all Gnostic literature, but in some Gnostic literature, it is believed that Thomas was the twin brother of Jesus. Okay? That's why it's called Didymus Thomas. Thomas. Like you got two thumbs. Opposing thumbs. Now we got to keep all that in mind because it's going to become very important later on. The other thing that I want to point out is that the last name is Anderson. Ander in the Greek is man. Son is son. So he's the son of man. He has a dual personality. In one world, he's Thomas Anderson, computer programmer. In the Matrix, he's Neo. He's the new man. He's consciousness, the neocortex. Anybody got any questions on that? All right. This is going to be fun. So let's get started here. And we begin. Let me get this right. Oops. Got it back on. Okay. Let me get out of it. We begin the Matrix in. Let me cut this on. Yeah. We begin at a hotel called the Heart of the City. Because that's where this is well, hold on a second, let me go back here a little bit. We want to go back. We want to go back as we look at this, because they are looking for, again, she is in distress. Trinity is in distress. So let's watch this. The police in the Matrix are looking for Trinity. They've located her. After I pause it, I'm going to pause it for a particular purpose. Pause it. What number do you see on the door?
303.
303. That's a very important number. You're going to see it again. You're going to see it again at the end of the movie. Because the Matrix 1 begins at the Heart of the City Hotel, room 303, and it ends at the Heart of the City Hotel, room 303. There's no accident. This is a Masonic number that speaks to the illuminated one. Okay? So, actually it's 33rd. A 33rd degree Mason. Okay? Now, water freezes at what? 32 degrees. That's when there's no movement, no consciousness, dead, still. At 33, it's the sign of the beginning of resurrection, illumination. Now keep that in mind, because this is where the story is going to end in section 1, or in the first movie installment of the Matrix. So let's find her. Let's look at Trinity. Notice she's in distress. She's under fire. You see that? The heart of the City Hotel. The heart is where everything begins. That's where the fourth chakra. Trying to get to your heart. Trinity, let me pause it. Trinity herself, character, represents the divine feminine, but she also represents love. Because that's where heart, that's the fourth chakra, love. Okay? Now remember that, keep all that in mind, because when we get to the end of the movie, we'll see that again. Go ahead.
Does her name have any significance?
Divine feminine, the Trinity. She's got the name of God.
Okay.
of the Godhead. Okay? So, and that's about God is love. Trinity is love. Trinity is about compassion. Okay? And I'm going to bring them all three together a little bit later. Neo, Trinity, that's the divine, that's the Trinity. Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus. Okay? Now keep in mind, Sophia Stewart is actually giving us a Gnostic story. She's giving us a deep story about ourselves, our own soul. Therefore, these characters and what they represent and what they play in the movie are aspects of everything that's within us.
She gave all of that? She came up with all these?
That's what I understand.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
You ought to see the fourth one she's coming up with.
Yeah.
It's a deep thing.
This is a very profound move. Obviously, you know, Agent Smith, let me just say this. Agent Smith represents the shadow. Now, it'll become more clear as we go into movies 2 and 3, but he represents the shadow in everybody. Everybody has a shadow, okay? And so we're getting started here, and so he's saying this. Watch, listen to his dialogue.
Lieutenant, you were given specific orders. Hey, I'm just doing my job. You give me that Juris Knight diction crap, you can cram it up your ass. The orders were for your protection. I think we can handle one little girl. I sent 2 units. They're bringing her down now.
No, Lieutenant, your men are already dead.
Now keep in mind that Agent Smith is a agent of the system. He's the shadow. Whenever you are in your shadow mind, when your shadow is ruling you, your dark side, you are not on your own accord. You are in a rebellious state. You are disconnected from your true self when you're in the shadow. Carl Jung defined evil. Check this out. Carl Jung defined evil as failure to meet your shadow. Now keep that in mind. I wish I would take a note because that's an important thing to understand. He defines evil as failure to meet your shadow. In other words, to the extent that we don't know our shadow, we don't know ourselves. And therefore, we become agents of the system. This is a Gnostic movie. This is about consciousness, knowing thyself. Okay? Let's keep going. Okay, keep in mind that Trinity is wearing black. She's always wearing black. She's the divine feminine. She's Eve. She's dark, evening. Okay, the divine feminine. Chaos, potentiality. Let's move a little bit further. Get on down the line. Okay, she escapes out of this trap through. If you notice, she's gonna escape through a telephone. They tried to kill her, but they couldn't get her. She escapes through the telephone, which brings us back to the whole thing about. Which brings us back to the whole thing about. This is all about the interplay of people trapped in a computer. Okay, and you get in and out, communicate from one world to another world through the communication line of a telephone. Anyway, now we're going to move to this next scene, which is important. But we're going to meet Neo for the first time. Okay, now listen. Now watch this. Neo obviously is asleep. See, Neo is asleep. At the computer. And then all of a sudden, something shows on his computer and wakes him up. You know, awakening. So now you begin to see the awakening. Just like, well, let me keep going. He's trying to figure out how in the world did that sign show up on his computer. Wake up, Neo. And then the first message he gets after wake up is what? The Matrix has you. He's asleep. Just like most people in the world do not realize what? They're unconscious to what? You're in a matrix. Now, personally, from a religious standpoint, I would relate this to the world system. You know, in the Bible it says in Romans 12 verse 2, be not conformed to this world. Because that's the nature of the matrix. It is to conform you for the purpose of controlling you. Yeah. But we got to ask ourselves the question, what is the matrix? That's what this first movie is about, trying to tell you that there is a matrix. What is the matrix? Let's keep going.
What the hell?
Like Moses, he's seen an anomaly that he can't explain. How is my computer doing this? Then it says, follow the white rabbit. Well, where did that come from? That comes from a Lewis Carroll novel that's called Through the Looking Glass. That phrase, follow the white rabbit. You know, in Alice in Wonderland story, you know, you fall through a hole and you meet a what? A white rabbit. Okay, cool. Now watch this.
Who is it?
Now this is what you call synchronicity, because that's how you begin to the process of waking up. You start noticing, you know, anomalies that have synchronicity, where, in other words, where things are coming together in a way that is leading you on the path. You're not leading yourself; it's just something else is guiding you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now listen to the dialogue that takes place here. Well, let's stop here. What number you see? Keep that in mind. What is that? What is 101? This is off the top head for those of you, you know, eggheads and stuff. Come
Introductory.
On. Of what? It's to be introductory in. Give me some more analogies to 101. Binary code.
Oh, yeah.
It's the binary code. Computer language. 101. Ones and zeros. Where are they? He doesn't know yet, but they are in a what? They're inside a computer program. 101. You will see this number again. 101. Pay attention to the numbers. You will see it again. In the next movie. Not in this one, but in the next movie. Okay. And notice that how many eyes did you see peeking out of the door? One eye. 101. The Eye of Horus. If you turn that 101 on the side, look what you got.
The Eye of Horus.
That's right.
And also the number of what is it? The number, not the Fibonacci code, but it's not pi. It's another number.
Oh,
5.
it's 5.
5.
That's what it is. 5.
Yeah, 5. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's 5.
It's 5. That's exactly right.
Not so smart.
Now listen to this. Listen to this.
I know. It's her fault.
Got the money?
$2,000.
Hold on.
Now watch this. Watch this. I'm going to try to catch it real quick. Got it. That is the book in which the Matrix is built off of. That's actually the book by a guy named Jean Bullard. Jean, the French, is a French writer, a French philosopher, that deals with the idea that our brains are in a vat. In other words, Jean, Jean, Baudrillard, girl, you would ask me to spell that. I think it's Baulillardt.
Okay.
That's close enough. Google it, pick it up.
Yeah.
Or just put simulacra and simulation. That's the name of the book. Actually, you actually can get the the book on a PDF download. But it's one of them deep philosophical books. You might not be interested in going through the whole book, but that's what the book is made. That's the author of this book, John Bullard, and it is his philosophy in which these movies are based upon. The idea is that this world of physical consciousness is a dream, and that really we are somewhere else having memories and having experiences drilled into our brain, creating the illusion of this world. We are not really here. Your brain is in a vat. There's actually a theoretical science that's called digital consciousness, and whereby it actually is stating the fact that we really are in a simulation. Okay, that we really are in a simulation, and that this really is a computer program. That nature itself is based upon the play and interplay of numbers and geometry and programs. That this world that we're living in is not the real world. It is a program.
It's like quantum physics.
It is an aspect. Digital physics is an aspect of quantum physics. It is an outgrowth of that. There's a book by a guy named Thomas Campbell called My Big Toe that actually breaks this down. It is a thick book. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a very thick book, but it is actually a tremendous and not implausible. Matter of fact, I would think that as you look at the whole tenets of quantum physics, that, and even if you begin to look at the Gospel of John, it actually gives in my opinion, it actually gives a breakdown of this reality. That this is not true reality. This is a dream. When you awake in this world, you are asleep in the real world. And when you are awake in that world, you're asleep in this one. And that's what we do when we go to sleep at night. We close our eyes here, and we wake up in another plane called the astral plane. And there are higher levels of reality. To a large extent, we actually talked about that this morning in church, Brother Lamb.
Sure enough.
That's right. And this book written by this guy named Morpheus, Secret of Secrets.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Is absolute. It actually is breaking this reality down. But to understand how reality is a code, a binary code of various types of numbers and everything, has a great deal of validity to it. Matter of fact, it actually is true. But for the sake of not getting caught up in a lot of theoretical physics and spirituality, this book, Simulacra and Simulation, actually begins the process of breaking this down. It's a good thing to look at. Anyway, he picks the... Go ahead. You had something you want to say? Go ahead.
Is that the word Similac? Is that a...
I don't know.
Okay.
Simulacra and Simulation.
Just
You gonna just raise a Similac? Like fake milk? Fake baby food?
like,
Something? I don't know.
It's the first milk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That
It probably...
you know what I mean?
I mean, it's
It
too
just
close
seem
to...
like
it's too close...
Right.
Similitude, it just means likeness.
Right.
Okay. As above, so below. This world is like the higher world. Okay. In other words, I think it actually speaks to a deeper truth. And the fact is that there's no way in which you can develop there's no way in which a man can develop the whole concept of quantum physics, computer programming, the whole idea of the computer, without there being some archetype of it in another world that's downloaded into the consciousness of this world. In other words, this world is the physical manifestation of a higher world. So whatever is true, whatever we can think of and imagine in this world, it already exists in a higher world. The key is to bring that information from a higher world into this world. And there are people that know how to do that. As a matter of fact, when you begin to understand that what we call imagination is not fantasy or fake, it is real. This is the world of effect. The real world is the world of cause. This is the world of questions. The real world is the world of answers. So when we awaken our Neo in us, when we begin the process of awakening our Neo, become illuminated, then, and eventually become enlightened, because illumination and enlightenment are not the same thing. They're a little different. Illumination is based upon intelligence. Enlightenment is based upon wisdom. And so, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that when we begin to awaken consciousness, we begin to find answers to the questions that is driving us. Okay, let's keep going.
Hallelujah. You're my savior, man.
Boom, you just told him who he was. So you see there that he says, hallelujah, man, you're my savior. In other words, he's looking at him as a Christ figure.
My own personal Jesus Christ. You get caught using that. Yeah, I know. It's never happened.
Now watch
You
this.
don't exist.
Watch this synchronicity.
Something wrong, man? You look a little whiter than usual.
My computer, You ever have that feeling where you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?
You see that? He's telling you the story. They tell you the story, what the story's going to be about right there. He's confused whether he's awake or dreaming. You ever had that experience where you don't know where you thought you was dreaming but you was awake, or you had like a deja vu, or if you think that you actually are asleep, but you think that it's real. You can't tell the difference.
All the time. It's called mescaline. It's the only way to fly. Right? Look, it just sounds to me like, you need to unplug, man.
And does not he need to unplug? Let's keep going.
Get some R&R?
Watch this.
Sure. Should we take him with us?
Definitely.
I can't. I have work tomorrow.
Why? It'll be fun. I promise.
Watch this. What did he see?
The white rabbit.
Follow the white rabbit. On her shoulder. All right, let's keep going. So he decides to go. So he goes to this party, and now we're going to meet. He's going to meet Trinity now.
Hello, Neo.
How do you know that name?
I know a lot about you.
Who are you?
My name is Trinity.
Trinity. The Trinity? That cracked the IRS base.
That was a long time ago.
Jesus.
What?
I just thought, you were a guy.
Most guys do.
I was you on my computer. How did you do that?
Right now, all I can tell you is that you're in danger. I brought you here to warn you.
What?
They're watching you, Neo.
Now, I want you to keep in mind, Neo represents the masculine principle. He is left brain. He's strong-willed. He's hope. She is love. So what you have here, love is reaching for hope. Remember, she was the one manipulating the computer. He was what? Sleep. Like Adam. In the Gnostic interpretation of Adam and Eve's story, Eve is not an evil or bad figure, if you lack for a better word. Eve wakes Adam up to higher consciousness through what? Eating the apple or eating the forbidden fruit. She wakes him up. That's what she's doing. And she does it by talking about something going on inside of him called a question.
Who is it? Please just listen. I know why you're here, Neo.
Okay.
Is that something to when he said, I thought you were a man, and she said, most men do? You know how we always look at the God figure as
absolutely. That's right. In other words, the question you asked was, is there something to the fact that he said that I thought you were a man, most men do, as she said, because most people think of God apart from its feminine characteristics. Yeah.
I know what you've been doing. I know why you hardly sleep. Why you live alone and why night after night you sit at your computer. You're looking for him. You know, because I was once looking for the same thing. And when he found me, he told me I wasn't really looking for him. I was looking for an answer. It's the question that drives us, Neo.
And that's the point. It's the question that drives us. The question. You know, he's right now, what I tell you, he's in the world of illusion. And he's trying to wake up. And it is the question that nags us.
It's the question that brought you here. You know the question, just as I did. What is the Matrix?
And that's what the first one is about. What is the Matrix? He wants to know
The
that.
answer is out there. It's looking for you.
What's looking for him? The answer. He wants to understand the Matrix, which is really this is about. He wants to understand the real world. That's what he's looking for. That's the choice.
And it will find you.
And what will find him? The answer will find you. Because as you are looking for it, it will find you. If you're not looking for it, it will elude you.
You want it to.
He said, if you wanted to. So was he asleep or was he awake? Now this is him in his illusion, in his so-called real world himself.
You have a problem with authority, Mr. Anderson. You believe that you are special, but somehow the rules do not apply to you. Obviously, you are mistaken.
So what is this man trying to say to him?
That he is special.
The rules of the
That he's not. That's right. The system. They want him to what, basically?
to be part of the system.
That's right. To conform. They want him to be a part of the system. They want him to conform. And that's what it's all about. That's what the job is about. That's what the rules of society is about. They want you to conform. It does not want you to have your own will. It wants you to give up your will. Like it says, be not conformed to this world. In other words, the world says, be conformed to us. Because we hold your employment. As long as you're in that illusion, in that mind, then you are dealing with the issues of survival.
This company is one of the top software companies in the world because every single employee understands that they are part of a whole.
And look what he's doing.
An employee has a problem.
He's not even paying attention.
The
He's
company has a
distracted.
problem. The time has come to make a choice, Mr. Anderson.
Now, it's just amazing how all this stuff fits together. The time has come for him to make a choice. And it really is. He's about to have to make a choice.
Either you choose to be at your desk on time from this day forth,
Conform.
or you choose to find yourself another job.
Find another job.
Do I make myself clear?
Yes,
Mr. Mayor.
Now, we're getting ready to move into the office place. We're going to speed up here in a minute, but we're going to move here in the office space where he's going to have to, where he's going to eventually meet Agent Smith for the first time. Actually, he's actually going to meet Morpheus through the phone, but he's not ready to meet Morpheus yet. He's going to run into Agent Smith. Notice he's sitting at his desk, basically a lollygag.
Thomas Anderson?
There you go. His name, Thomas Anderson, Son of Man, in his normal world.
That's me.
Have a nice day.
Gotta have a communication system to understand the next world.
Hello?
Hello, Neo. Do you know who this is?
Morpheus.
Yes. I've been looking for you, Neo. I don't know if you're ready to see what I want to show you, but unfortunately you and I have run out of time. They're coming for you, Neo, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Okay, so Morpheus is telling Neo that he's looking for him, and it's time for him to make a choice. So what happens is that by this time, these computer programs known as the agents are looking for Neo. Okay, so they come looking for him. So we'll kind of fast forward here, and we'll begin to.
Who's coming?
So they're looking for him. He's hiding. He's running. He gets to this place where he has to make a decision to jump or to get off this tall building. He can't do it. So they eventually arrest him, and they bring him to this interrogation. So this is important. Listen, watch as this is Neo, or Thomas Anderson, talking to Agent Smith. Agent Smith is a representation of a representative of the Matrix. He is the shadow. Now this is symbolic of the way in which the system of control tries to intimidate people to stay in their place, because the shadow self is the fear in you, the fear of death, the fear of freedom, and all that kind of stuff, and therefore it begins to speak to you and basically gives you a choice to more or less conform or lose your freedom in this world. Now watch the dialogue with Agent Smith. One man has black on, the other man has white on. Contrast. They keep a file on you, just like the FBI, CIA, something like that. They got a file on you. They know who you are, what you're doing.
As you can see, we've had our eye on you for some time now, Mr. Anderson. It seems that you've been living two lives.
He's Thomas Anderson. Two lives.
In one life, you're Thomas A. Anderson, program writer for a respectable South Florida company. You have a social security number. You pay your taxes.
All these are means of tracking you. Making sure you stay in line. Social security number.
Garbage.
Even simple stuff like helping your old lady with the garbage.
Is lived in computers, where you go by the hacker alias Neo and are guilty of virtually every computer crime we have a law for.
So you see right there that every little thing that he's ever done, they know. Now what's that telling us? Is that there is no way you can hide from the system within the system.
Right.
There's no way you can hide. You're not having private meetings, you're not having secret meetings, you're not doing anything that they don't know. They're just monitoring your behavior.
One of these lives has a future, and one of them does not. I'm going to be as forthcoming as I can be, Mr. Anderson. You're here because we need your help. We know that you've been contacted by a certain individual, a man who calls himself Morpheus. And whatever you think you know about this man is irrelevant. He is considered by many authorities to be the most dangerous man alive. My colleagues believe trying to wipe this.
He said that Morpheus is considered the most dangerous man alive because he helps wake people up.
Right.
You were called the most dangerous man one day, remember?
Oh, in that class?
Mm-hmm.
Right. 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 The most dangerous thing in life you can do for yourself is to wake up. And the more people wake up, becomes a threat to society. Consciousness, or super consciousness, awakened higher consciousness, is a threat. The system requires that people stay asleep, ask no questions, go along with the get along.
Make it clean.
And they use records and all this kind of stuff to intimidate you, put fear in you.
All that we're asking in return is your cooperation in bringing a known terrorist to justice.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds like a really good deal. But I think I got a better one. How about I give you the finger, and you give me my phone call.
Now check this out. Now this is important because here is where he really doesn't understand who he's talking to and what he's really into. So people do it all the time. They get, in a childlike way, they show themselves, show their butt. They won't throw a finger at the system. They're gonna rebel against the police, the authorities, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And so watch this. He said, "You disappoint me."
You disappoint me.
You can't scare me with this Gestapo crap. I know my rights.
Watch what he say.
I want my phone call.
He's going to use the law of the system against the system. Watch this.
Tell me, Mr. Anderson,
What good is a phone call
if you're
not
able
able
to
to
speak?
See, they know something that he doesn't know. Let's push him off from here. They beat him up. They throw him down. Now watch this. This is important here.
You're going to help us, Mr. Anderson, whether you want to or not.
Now that's a very important statement. Because people don't know the level of technological sophistication of the society we live in that says, we don't care if you rebel, we don't care what you think you are, you don't even know the whole truth. You're gonna help us whether you like to or not. You don't even have a choice. And what they employ is this bug. Now there's technology today whereby they actually can inject microchips through needles, and they can actually put a radio chip inside of you, what they call a radio frequency identification chip. They got it already in products in stores. They can put it even inside you, whereby we saw it on the movie the Zeitgeist, where people are taking these chips whereby they can be tracked, and that's exactly what they're talking about. I don't even think RFID chips were even being talked about. This came out in 1999. I don't think people were even talking about that at then. And yet, it makes you really wonder about Sophia Stewart, because she had to be, or somebody who put this together had to be mildly aware of the technology that was already existing to track human beings. Now watch how they put this in here. David Icke talks about all the time the idea that we are a microchip population. That's the next step in microchipping people in the population in some kind of way where they can be like a tracking device set up in everybody. They talk about it in a lot of different ways, either through vaccination, through root canals, through other products and everything like that, where they can actually chip the part of a microchip population for the purpose of control. When they, because everything has a number and a frequency to it, and therefore when you are conforming, nothing happens, but when you do not conform, they can put that chip on a certain frequency that can shut down certain parts of your body or even your whole life. Okay, let's move on. Anybody got any comments or questions about any of this? Morpheus contacts him again. Now we're gonna get to the point where Neo meets Morpheus. They take the bug out of him, and so.
Some advice. Be honest.
Here's what he's gonna learn. The idea of the question is, what is the Matrix? We're gonna watch most of all of this.
At last. Welcome, Neo. As you no doubt have guessed, I am Morpheus.
Now, Morpheus is the Greek god of dreams. Okay? The character Morpheus in the Matrix represents, how can I put this? He represents faith. He is a believer. He represents knowledge. He represents gnosis. He knows through revelation. Neo knows through intuitive will, gut instinct. Trinity knows through heart, compassion. So what you have here is what it spoke about in 1 Corinthians 13:13. Now there abides three things: faith, Morpheus; hope, Neo; love, Trinity. Remember, we began in the heart of the city, and the greatest of these is love. So the opening of the fourth chakra, the idea of God is love, the unity of opposites in love becomes very profound in this movie. So let's watch this dialogue with him and Morpheus.
It's an honor to meet you.
No. The honor is mine.
Faith, hope, and love.
Please.
Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity.
Sit.
Or we can call them will, Neo; spirit, Trinity; and thought, Morpheus.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole.
There we go again. Another reference to Alice and the White Rabbit tumbling down the rabbit hole. As you watch this is what it's like when you first beginning to wake up and somebody is actually initiating you into the real world. Remember now, Morpheus is thought. Morpheus is faith, belief. Morpheus believes. Therefore, his strength is in his belief in faith. Okay? Neo is will, but he's will without faith. Now, he's going to have to get faith by becoming identified with Morpheus.
Neo is will, you said?
Neo is will.
Okay.
Morpheus is faith, or faith knowledge, if you will. Okay.
You can say that.
I can see it in your eyes.
Just notice how confident Morpheus speaks in this movie.
You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neil?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here.
That's an important statement. He's going to tell him why he's here. I just want you to know just how assured Morpheus is. How assured he is. Okay. Yeah, he's going to tell him why he's here.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain.
And that's how he knows. That's actually the truth, in the sense that Neo is will. He's intuitive. He intuits that something is not right. That's why this question is driving him, but he can't explain it.
But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me.
And have you ever felt that way yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That there's something wrong with the world?
Mm-hmm.
That something's just not right? And it's that feeling and that question that is actually creating these patterns in your life. That's like creating road maps leading you to answer those questions.
Mm-hmm. Even when I was young, I felt that.
Me too.
Yeah. It's been that's been like the path that's been laid out in front of you, driven by questions.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
And see, and that is an emotional or emotive way of explaining the effects of the Matrix. What is that Matrix? You know, he hadn't gotten to the technical part of it, but it's in terms of you can sense it, you can feel it, something's not right. You know, that something is wrong with the church, something is wrong with the system that we call the economic system, the tax system. And he says ultimately it is something that blinds you from the what? The truth. It's somehow or another people have this intuitive sense that I'm not getting the truth. Some people have that. Mm-hmm. The ones that ask the question, that are driven by the question. Neil asked the right question.
What truth?
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch.
And that's important because he says that the Matrix is a prison that you were born into, a prison that you cannot what? Smell, taste, or touch. In other words, smell, taste, or touch. It is something that actually gets around your senses. It is so intricate to our life that if you live within the reality of the sense world, you know, the five senses, this world is ruled by this world is ruled by five senses. But when you're in the spirit world, or when you're in higher consciousness, you actually awaken about another 130 senses that are asleep while you are addicted to the five senses of this world. Because you've heard what the Bible says, eyes have not seen, ears not heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man the things that God has for those who love him. So anytime that you are hopelessly addicted, attached to the five senses of this world, you are literally blind and deaf and insensitive, unconscious to the true power of your real spiritual nature that actually has another 130 senses that have never been awakened. That's profound to me.
Mm-hmm. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is.
They can't be told what the Matrix is.
You have to see it for yourself.
You have to see it for yourself.
That's so true.
Why you say it's true?
Because you see the world through your mind. And if your mind is not, if you don't have the kind of knowledge within yourself to see and make the connections with this other world, then you literally can't see it, even though it exists around you all the time.
Absolutely.
If we're caught up in somebody else's story, we are caught up in somebody else's story, this culture, this European way of doing things, then we can't see our story because we're caught up in somebody else's story, and we don't know who we really are.
The way that I've been explained to it is that we can't really see the implicate order or the spirit world, because we are again in the world of effect. Therefore, we don't see causes, and we try to make judgments. We judge other people, we judge ourselves, because our spiritual eye, third eye, and our spiritual ear, melanin, is deactivated, or is not fully being used, only just to deal with this world. In other words, when we talk about light, the light that we see is like, because light travels at 186,000 miles per second. Therefore, the light that comes from the sun to here takes about 8 minutes for it to travel. So we're really not even seeing reality. We're seeing past reality. The light that we're perceiving now from the sun, or the light that lights up our world, it has taken 8 minutes to get here. So therefore, we're not dealing with present time. We're dealing with past time. In other words, what I'm trying to say, you on the electromagnetic scale, we are only picking up a certain wavelength of energy that we call light. There are other wavelengths of light that we are not aware of through our eye gate. Okay, you have infrared light, you have X-ray, you have gamma, UV light, microwave light that's on the high end and the low end of the electromagnetic spectrum. The same is true in terms of sound. We're only picking up certain decibels of sound. At the other frequencies, it's silent. But a dog can hear stuff that a human can't hear. Whales can hear things that humans can't hear. So just because you don't hear it, and just because you don't see it, does not mean it's not there. So what I'm saying is that an angel can literally be sitting right next to you, and you not perceive it. I'm talking about a spiritual angel, not an earth angel. But I'm just saying that an angel can be literally sitting right next to you. The fact is, we don't even know who we are, because we think that we are this flesh and bone, blood, meat sack that's sitting here. It is said that 97% of your DNA, or let me put it another way, 3% of your DNA frequency comprises your whole human body. That means that the other 97% of your DNA, what is it used for? What is it there for? Some people have called it what? Junk DNA. Mm-hmm. The same thing goes for the universe. The energy that makes up the universe. Basically, 3% of the energy that makes up the universe is what we call the physical world. But what's the other 97% doing? It's there. It's real. They call it dark energy, dark matter. It's dark, not because it's not there. It's dark because we can't perceive its function. Therefore, it's junk. And so what I'm saying is, to a large extent, we don't know what? Who we are. And the matrix depends on that. Let's go a little deeper.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So, therefore, you see the choice. Blue pill, red pill. Blue pill speaks of a frequency. It's a blue frequency. It's a passive choice. It's indirect knowledge. The red pill speaks of engaging your will to persevere into into truth, into discovering the reality of truth. It's a direct path toward learning. So one is the path of belief. Wake up and just continue in the mythology or believe in the story, whatever you want to believe. Continue that way. Or the other one is what? Go deeper into mystery, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Choice. But is this the only choice? Is it? One thing I learned about Morpheus in this stage deals in dichotomies. Machine versus human. Blue pill versus red pill. We have to keep our eye on Morpheus. Okay? So eventually he chooses the red pill. The red pill is a tracing device to help locate where his body is.
All I'm offering,
which sounds strange to him. Where's your body? So he takes the pill, and now they begin to finally locate where he really is. Let's move on to the next level. They begin to discover where he is, and he begins to go down that rabbit hole. Let's keep moving. And boom, he wakes up where? He truly wakes up. Notice his body has changed, hair is gone. He's in a vat. He's in this factory. But not only is he in the factory, everybody that he knows in the world, he is awakened to the real world. He's been born again. This is what it means to be born again in terms of truth. He's born again, and now you begin to see reality. Let's keep going.
Imagine waking up and seeing something like that.
He thought that it was one thing. It was something totally different. They unplug him, and notice he drops into this water, and he's pulled out this water. That's baptism. Right. He's been baptized into the pool, and now he's been pulled up, and now he's a what? A new man. He's a new man. He's Neo now. So they pull him out, and first thing Morpheus says to him,
"Welcome to the real world."
Now you want to know reality? Welcome to the real world. They found it.
Am I dead? Far from it.
You think he's dead? And so he goes on. They got him all these pins trying to revive his body. And
your muscles have atrophied.
Let me go back and let you get that quote.
Still needs a lot of work.
What are you doing?
Your muscles have atrophied. We're rebuilding.
Why am I, sir?
You've never used them before.
Isn't that amazing? See, that's telling him, that's a secret code to tell us, because this is about us, he's us, is that when you wake up to consciousness, you wake up to certain senses that you never have used before. And the first reality about waking up is that it hurts. Isn't that right?
Yes.
It hurts. Because you're discovering stuff about yourself that you didn't know. I believe that's one of the reasons why a lot of people really have a fear of waking up. Because they don't want to know. Because it'll hurt. It will hurt. Truth will hurt. But like, Morpheus would tell him, I didn't tell you it wouldn't hurt. I just told you to be the truth. Let's keep moving. So they continue to operate on him and prepare him for this reality. Now we're getting ready to put Morpheus into training. He meets everybody in this
construct.
Let me move back here and kind of get this again. But this is where he's really going to begin to let me find something. It's a part here I want to see where he anybody got any comments while I'm setting this up? Oh, here we go. He's going to show him his other compadres on this ship.
Core.
That's what I want you to see. The ship is called the Nebuchadnezzar. So, in other words, this is in the movie The Matrix. There are 3 ships. The ships are really kind of like your physical body. There are 3 ships as you travel in consciousness. You have the Nebuchadnezzar. Another one is called the Hammer, and the other one is called the Logos. But only one of them can get you to your destination. In a deep esoteric sense, there's only one. See, we all travel in a ship. You know what I'm about to say. If you think about it real deep, we have a certain ship that we're able to navigate both worlds, the spirit world and the physical world. It's called the Merkaba, and you have to develop. See, this ship, which is more like the Nebuchadnezzar, is limited. But it is a ship, Nebuchadnezzar, that allows us to be able to war in the Matrix. Nebuchadnezzar, as you well know, was a king. Okay, but he was a king ruled by passions of pride. Okay, nothing in this movie is by accident. These names have a significance. We'll talk about the Hammer next week. That comes out in movie 2, and the Logos in movie 3. Okay, so let's move on to Neo begins to go deeper into understanding what the Matrix is. Okay, other characters he's gonna meet in here. Well, obviously you know Trinity, and there's Cypher. We got to understand him, and Tank and his little brother Dozer. So now he's going to show him what the Matrix is. So they put him in this seat. They have him lean back.
Try to relax.
He got these plugs, and then notice where they stick this plug in the back of the brain, in the medulla oblongata. So now he's inside of the computer program. This is where it gets real deep again. Y'all okay?
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment.
Notice how Morpheus has his hands
weapons.
like this.
Training
his hands
center.
like this.
And you know what?
Anything.
Anytime media captures that, they always blow it up and blow things out of proportion using, Illuminati and...
Yeah, actually that's the feminine signal. That's the feminine sign for the womb. Right. This is the masculine side of the Star of David. It's not evil. It's just a symbol that comes out of ancient Africa that speaks of the unity of male and female. People don't know that. They get caught up in another program of fear. Absolutely.
We're inside a computer.
Absolutely. It's the Merkaba.
Is it really so hard to believe? You're closer to...
Or the Merkaba. Right. In other words, the Merkaba is your body, your vessel, your body of light. It's the vessel in which your body of light travels. That literally there are practices you can do, information you need to know that can help you develop it. These are esoteric truths that most people are not aware of.
The plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you
What is real?
define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Now this is important because what this is telling us, at least the way I look at it, he shows them a picture of the real world, which is a wilderness. It is a desolation. Is what we read in Genesis 1, what says the world without form or void. You know, what it says in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth, but then in verse 2 says, now the earth without form and void. That is what they call in Hebrew, tohu vabohu, formless and void, without shape and substance. Now what? And then it says, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the deep, and then God said, what? Let there be light. Now what that signifies, and what this is signifying in another sense, is that there is no world until mind. Go back to your point, Brother Lamb. There is no world until mind enters it. Consciousness creates reality. And to the extent, like I said in the beginning, to the extent that you become conscious, you begin to create your own reality. But to the extent that you remain unconscious, then you literally don't exist or don't know. And therefore, when you're unconscious, then you are at the behest of anybody who does know. And they can program you to be what they want you to be. There is no world until mind comes into it. Now, this relates to an experiment that, I don't necessarily remember what year, but it's called the slit experiment, the slit experiment. And where they talk about in quantum physics, whereby they shot these electrons through a matrix, a board, and when it was unobserved, it created a pattern of I forgot the name of the pattern. It created a multiple. It's like it went through every slit in the board. Okay, but when you looked at it, it went through only the direction it was shot. Like it acted like a particle. When it was not looked at, it acted as a wave. It went through every potential, every possibility. But when you looked at it and observed it, it acted as a particle, which speaks to what is called the wave-particle duality of light. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so what it says is that reality is shaped by how we perceive it. So how you look at something creates reality. Mm-hmm. Perception creates reality. And the people who create our reality, what they have gotten us to become, to buy into through belief, a consensus reality, and it becomes real. Mm-hmm. You know, in medicine, the placebo effect does that. When they tell you that if you take this pill, it'll cure your situation, you take it and you find yourself getting cured, more often than not, it is a placebo based upon your belief or a suggestion given to you that's going to happen. That's called a placebo. Well, they also have a negative form of that called the nocebo. Okay? Whereby they give you a negative suggestion that says that, well, you got 6 months to live, you're not going to make it. If you buy into that, the point is you will begin to create that reality for your body. Because you are a spirit having a human experience. Therefore, story and word and perceptions that you carry, your thoughts create your reality. As a man thinks, so is he. It begins to shape your reality. Most people are not in a control or in awareness of what they are thinking and feeling. Therefore, they're creating all types of reality. And the people who are the programmers of reality begin to take advantage of that looseness and define it for them. Like I said, what's power? Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition of reality as if it were their own. And that is the valley of the real, or the wilderness of the real.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Notice Neo's response when he sees reality.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI. You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time.
So you see, as he explained this concept of reality in this story, what do you hear? What is significant to you?
Humans versus machines.
Well,
Human.
I'm seeing the Terminator, how it ties into the Terminator.
Terminator, yeah. Like you said, human versus machines. But notice, machines came to a point of singularity where they achieved consciousness. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, there is a school of thought that speaks the same thing about humanity. Mm-hmm. Going from maybe like a single cell organism, mm-hmm. and kept evolving until it reached a certain point, and then it became self-conscious. Mm-hmm. It's also the idea about the origin of the universe, what they call the Big Bang. Mm-hmm. It came to a point of singularity, and then boom, where it began to become conscious. Mm-hmm. Same thing is repeated when you look at birth. Mm-hmm. You start off as a single cell, egg in your mother's womb. It is penetrated by the sperm, and then a singularity is created out of that duality, and then embryo. And then in the matter of time as it develops, it begins to become self-aware of its environment to a certain extent.
Fetus.
The fetus.
Mm-hmm. And the first organ created that comes about is the heart.
The first organ that comes out is the heart. The heart, it all starts in the heart. That's right.
They were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
So you're getting to see that we're talking about artificial intelligence, and do you realize that they're actually projecting by the year 2050 that they will be able to make, or that a computer will be able to simulate consciousness, or it becomes self-conscious, artificial intelligence, where it begins to think. Right now, we are truly human is a major feat of creation and or evolution, in the sense that we just don't respond to stimuli. We actually begin to imagine and dream, mm-hmm. And therefore we're doing in our brain so many hundreds of thousands of computations at one time, dealing with emotions, dealing with perceptions, imaginations, and all that kind of stuff that a machine just can't do. A machine is basically, at the stage now, it's just basically dependent upon the information that is put within it. Mm-hmm. But whatever is created takes on the character of its creator. Make you kind of wonder, about God, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Y'all want to stop here? This is too much.
Different movies just coming to mind.
Like what? What movies coming to mind?
Prometheus is one.
Like Prometheus, right? Mm-hmm. Which itself is a mythology about Prometheus. Yeah. Yeah, let's look at some.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat.
Actually, there's a lot of truth to that. About the energy of the human body. I heard Dr. Mitchell Gibson say that the human body has enough energy to light up the whole city of Chicago. So we are truly an amazing being of energy. Therefore, the conservation of your energy is the key to the longevity of your life. Right. So what are you doing with your energy?
Who are you giving it to?
Combined with a form of
fusion, who are you giving your energy to?
The machines had found all the energy they would ever need.
So what the artificial intelligence did was, when their life was threatened, they did the next best thing. They found another source of energy, which happens to be whom? The human race. the very one that created them. In other words, the created began to dominate the creator.
And that's an arguable story about black people that don't like the human being too. We won't put that on YouTube.
No, put that on YouTube as well. You said it. You said it. Take ownership. Yeah. Dude said that.
Yeah, real quiet.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
There are fields, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born.
Human beings are born. They're grown. Let's keep going. Let's go past this. So he sees how human beings are fed back with the dead, liquefied, and then they keep living. Now watch Neo's response.
The
Look at it.
Matrix is a computer-generated dream world.
The Matrix. What is the Matrix? A computer-generated dream world.
To keep us under control.
To keep us under control. What's the Matrix? It's a computer-generated dream world for the purpose of what?
Keeping us under control.
In order to change a human being.
To change a human being
into this.
What? A source of energy to turn a human being into a battery. Now, do you realize that's so close to the truth that this system that we call the world is actually using our mental, physical, and spiritual energy through the work that we do, through fear.
Yeah.
And we are keeping it alive because it's a vampire system, and it is sucking our life, blood, spirit, and mind and mental energy to keep itself alive.
Media.
All of them. If you stop and look at every institution that contributes to the maintenance of the system, it's all designed not to evolve you, but to parasite off of you. Do you understand how deep this is? It's a system of slavery.
And in a lot of cases, that's the philosophy. It's a philosophy when it comes to dealing with us. They're always thinking about how they can maximize profit, how we can be used as some kind of worker or put in a position where even if we're not working like a prison system, where we can still manufacture money and benefit for other people.
The whole thing, whether you're talking about in a physical prison or not, it's a slave system. You are working to pay off debt. You're working to get out of sin, to go to heaven. You are working, giving your life, blood, sweat, and tears. You're working, and you think about it. Back in the days of slavery for black people, the slavery obviously was physical and everything, but the slave owner had to provide you room and clothing and food. We herald the idea of, I'm not against it, but we herald the idea of the end of that form of slavery for the system reloaded itself and created another kind of slavery called economic wage slavery, where now you're still working, but you have to pay for your own house, your own food, your own clothing. And through the manipulation of the economic system, by keeping you in debt equals slavery, you always have to keep working, playing the game, like it says in the Matrix, not in the Matrix, but in the Zeitgeist 2 addendum, you're always working, waiting for the music to stop, and whoever the last guy that's without the chair, he gets kicked out the system. He's no more. Everybody's fighting against one another, competing against one. That's why you can't have peace. That's why you can't have justice, because the whole system is based upon exploitation. Therefore, we learn from them who have taught us. The hater taught hate. The slave master taught slavery. Therefore, when the slaves get free, they now choose to enslave.
Right.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
You see it? That's what's going on. That's what the Matrix is trying to tell us. But more than it's on a racial analysis,
Right.
it's on a global analysis. So whether you are black, white, Hispanic, no matter what race you are or what religion you are, it doesn't really matter. It's all built on the same principle. Wherever this system has gone, wherever it's gone, it's done the same thing. Lie and kill. But not even kill now, because that's no profit in killing you. The profit really is in maintaining you under control. Think about the medical institution. I mean, you know, the pharmacies and all that kind of stuff. It's not about curing a disease. It's about maintaining a disease. It's about maintaining you in a state of sickness. Because I was reading a story, and it was so funny. This doctor has spent, you know, his 50 years of his life being a doctor and serving the people in the community. He had never taken a vacation. One day his son, who had followed in his father's footsteps, wanted to become a doctor, and so he told his dad, take off, go take your vacation, and I'll run the clinic while you're gone. Father goes out, take a vacation, has a great time. He comes back home. His son greets him, welcome back, Dad. You know, man, I got some good news to tell you. He said, well, you know, what's the good news? He says, you know that lady that always sick and you can never heal her and you can never get her well? I worked on her in about a week. I cured her. His father said, you did what? He said, boy, she was the means by which I could send you to medical school. I was depending on her to help send your younger brother to medical school. You done ruined the business. That's the system right there. That's the system. Now watch Neo's response. Can't take it.
I don't believe it. It's not possible. I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth. Stop.
That word terrifying.
Yeah.
He said truth.
Now, isn't that the way when people when you finally tell them? That's why a lot of times you really got to be careful of what you say to people, because people think they want to know the truth, but they can't handle the truth, as Jack Nicklaus would say. They really don't want to, because when they hear it for the first time, their reaction is to what? Reject it. They want to throw it up. They want to get out. They wish they had never known. That's why I ask people, really, do you really want to take the red pill, or would you really be a lot happier taking the blue pill? Okay? And so Neo has this real negative reaction to it, to the point where he has to throw up. That's one of the reasons why organizations built on truth don't grow. Churches built on truth don't grow. For the most part, if you ever see a mega church, I know that people might not like to hear this, but the fact is, ain't no truth being told. Because if people knew the truth, they would do just like Neo. Get away from me. I don't have nothing to do with y'all.
Shut up, Pop.
Let's move forward.
And to a certain extent, I used to never believe that ignorance was bliss, but at another level, when you bring the pain of reality and truth to the equation of life, man, sometimes you can understand how ignorance can be bliss.
That's right. Now, Neo is getting ready now to go into training. Because he has to be trained, because Morpheus believes that he's the one. Morpheus believes that he's the Messiah. So now he has to go into training.
Oh, shit.
And so his training involves basically 3 phases.
Some of them can be bent. Others...
Back up here and pick this up.
His name is Cypher?
No, his name is Tank.
Tank.
Yeah, Cypher's a bald head.
Okay.
program.
Similar to the programmed reality of the Matrix. It has the same basic rules like gravity.
What you must learn is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent. Others can be broken.
Now keep in mind, where is Neo right now?
Assimilation.
He's in a simulation. He's in a program. Okay? He's not in a physical world. He's in a mental world. So he has to get over the addiction of being attached or addicted to his body senses. So the first thing he has to fight. This is the fight. You might say this is the fight of faith, or this is a mental fight.
Understand? Then hit me, if you can.
I want to say right here, this is something. This actually is a real scientific truth here that's being told. Where he's in this computer, and they have just plugged him in, loaded in his neocortex, not neocortex, in his medulla oblongata, this information in the back of his head right here. This actually is a gateway back in the back of your head. But anyway, there is a I can't think of the technical name in terms of the brain dynamics of what it is, but you have what is called mirror neurons that allow you to know by observation instantly. Like you can, when you ever wonder how a child who is born among a family that speaks a different language than we normally speak, that child can pick up the language quicker than a person that's older, that's been accustomed to certain things, because that child learns by observing everything, the inflections, and to a large extent that child mimics and mirrors the words of the parents or the people around them, and they know immediately what the words mean or whatever. That's true for all of us, but there's a certain an inhibitor, if you will, that keeps us from knowing immediately languages and abilities. And if the key to knowing is that if you find a way to block that inhibitor of those mirror neurons, you know things on that. Matter of fact, many of us, through the fact that we have recorded and heard so much stuff, you really know more than you really think you know. But there are certain inhibitors in the brain that block that causes you to forget, what you really know in a subconscious level, at an unconscious level. Okay? So in that sense, that's true. He downloaded a fight program of Kung Fu, and he knows it. That inhibitor is over. That inhibitor in the brain is overcome. It's overridden. Yeah. We are really so much like a computer program in terms of the brain. Anyway, let's they fight. Let's move on from here. Then he moves to another program. He moves to another program called the Jump Program, and he asked him, "What do you think you're doing? Breathing as air?" So, you've seen this before.
You have to let it all go, Neil. Fear, doubt, disbelief.
You gotta let that go. To free your mind, you gotta let go of what? Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Because those are the enemies of higher consciousness.
Free your mind.
So you see, Neo, what's his name, jumps over there, and he does it. Now Neo tries to do it, but obviously his mind is not free yet, and therefore he jumps and he falls. Okay, so then let's say Neo meets Cypher. Okay, or no, let's do another program.
But until we do, these people are...
This is another important thing that I think is important for us to understand when we go in the business of waking people up. This is the third program he goes through.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged.
And see, that's something we got to understand right there. That's a very important thing, is that the people that we're trying to save, because they're in a state of what? Unconsciousness. they are tied to the system.
Depend on it.
And therefore, they view you as an enemy of their survival. So if you think that getting into consciousness is going to accidentally lead you to wealth, fame, and fortune, you know, that is not really understanding what you're surrounded by. Most people who are unconscious are hopelessly tied to the system. They look at you as the one that's crazy.
It's lonely at the top.
Yeah, right. And therefore, he's saying that as long as they are there, notice.
Many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Are you listening to me, Neo?
See, that's another thing that gets people when they're in the system. They get distracted by the woman in the red dress. Okay? The red dress is symbolic of the root chakra. Survival chakra. The lower chakra.
And you know, I'm looking at probably just simply a distraction.
That's exactly right. It's a distraction.
Just a distraction.
Right.
Like,
As a matter of fact, I was sharing with the church this morning in Bible study, not in Sunday school, is that it was talking about the Roman system. And I said, we're still in the Roman system. I said, and one of the things about the Roman system, whether it's political, economic, or religious, is that it operates off basically two things: bread and circus. Bread and circus. Bread, food, circus, entertainment. Both distractions. Bread and circus. And so as long as people are attached to the matrix.
Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was...
Again. Who is it?
This isn't the Matrix.
No.
See, anybody who's in the matrix and is unconscious, the controllers of the matrix, the guardians of the matrix, have access to them like a spirit. This is often talking like spirit possession. You see, a lot of people, even though they may be in church and they have these beliefs and they have these ideas that they are, the reality is what it is. They are actually possessed by the spirit of the system that is giving them those feelings and those beliefs.
Not their own idea.
And that's how people can be in church and they at the same time in a moment's notice go from belief to want to kill you for challenging their religion or their politics or their culture, because the system creates culture, religion, and beliefs. You see it? Because they're not in control of what they believe. Most people don't realize. I tell my students in humanities all the time, when I take them through these various studies, I said, you have never made a choice. The religion you have, the race you have, the race you believe you are, these are things you've been told, but you've never chosen it. You were born into this. And this is why you believe that if you do this, you're going to the devil. If you question this, God's going to be angry with you. If you go down this path, it's going to lead you the wrong way, because you have never questioned what you've been told. And you've never had a belief. And then I tell them, now I'm going to give you the reason to believe. I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a choice. So I have to show them what they don't know. That's what scares them. Many of them would much rather me give them the hardest test out of the book than to show them a lot of different things that I show them. Because now this is real education.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
There you again. See Morpheus? Dualistic thinking. If you're not with us, you're against us. Because in Morpheus' idea, it's the machines against the humans. It's the blue pill or the red pill. It's being with us or being with them. He's at war. He's a believer.
sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone, and they are no one.
Now, what does that sound like?
Everywhere and nowhere.
God.
Everywhere and nowhere. Mm-hmm.
They are the guardians of the system. They watch all, they know all, they monitor all.
We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Someone.
I won't lie to you, Neo. Every single man or woman who has stood their ground, everyone who has fought an agent has died. But where they have failed, you will succeed.
Why?
I've seen an agent punch through a concrete wall. Men have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. Yet their strength and their speed are still based in a world that is built on rules. Because of that, they will never be as strong or as fast as you can be.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready,
You won't have to.
you won't have to.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's pick up a little speed. Let's go to the story where, let's skip Cypher. He's like a Judas betrayer. He thinks that ignorance is bliss. He wants to get out of the Matrix and go back into the world, but he can't go back. But he makes a deal to betray Morpheus. And so we're going to pick up again where they're going to meet the Oracle. And so
Try not to think of it in terms of right and wrong.
he's going to meet, first of all, when he's going to meet the Oracle, he's going to meet the Spoon
She can
Boy.
help you to find your path.
She helped you.
Yes.
What did she tell you?
That I would find the one.
You know, I thought that thing was so interesting about that spoon. I just thought that was so powerful.
It is powerful. What were your thoughts about it before I go into it?
There is no world. You know, sometimes when I'm at, the people are having trouble in the program, they're having trouble with the system, they're having trouble with the counselors, they're having trouble with anything. I said, well, there is no counselor. There is no program. There are no rules. There's only you and your reaction to what's happening.
Absolutely.
And that's what that spoon represents.
Let's look at that right quick.
I told you I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it.
This is going to become more profound in the next movie, that very statement.
Hello, Neo. You're right on time. Make yourself at home, Morpheus. Neo, come with me. These are the other potentials. You can wait here.
The little boy was reading Chinese. So he's watching this little girl, watching this, going to eventually go to this little boy. The Buddha.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible.
So he said, do not try to bend the spoon. That's impossible.
Instead, only try to realize the truth.
The key is to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
Now that's profound. There is no spoon. There's only you. That is the essence of what repentance means. Repentance is really nothing more than another word that means change your mind. Turn your mind. It's not even what people in church have even said it was. It's about changing your mind. I don't care what behavior you got until you change your mind, your perspective, till you look at things differently. There is no change. Because there is no spoon. There is no sin. There is only one thing, you. And when you evolve your consciousness, another world is created. Consciousness, your level of consciousness, is what creates your world. It attracts the people on that frequency that you're on that bring them into your world. You guys know all that. Let's move on from here. Let's go on and meet an oracle. So he knows the oracle is this black woman. That's significant. Because she represents the unconscious divine mind.
Smell good, don't they?
Yeah.
I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway.
I don't mean unconscious in the sense of not knowing. I mean the depth. The way they teach us is like this. In terms of consciousness, you have your conscious mind, which is the tip, like a tip of an iceberg. Like this is an iceberg, and the line of that shows above the water, that's the conscious mind. The next big section of the iceberg is that which is just right beneath the water. That's a subconscious mind. But the large part of the iceberg in the water that holds the depth, holds where the motivations, holds where the true self, the real self really is. That's the unconscious, what Jung would call the collective unconscious. That's that part of you that is so deep, it's so dark, it's so unknown. That's why all the gods, the goddesses, the angels, the supernatural beings exist. Your motivations, your true energy source, it's that bigger part of you. When we talk about that part that is dark, that is the potential part. And it is immediately connected to the subconscious mind, but it is disconnected from the conscious mind. But the key is for that which is dark to become light. That is to take that, when the unconscious becomes conscious, that's when you gain wisdom. Or that's the key, to make the unconscious conscious. But as long as the unconscious remain unconscious, it does not come to consciousness, then you will call your life fate, because you don't know why what's happening is happening. But you are creating that reality. But you're creating out of the deeper resources of your unconscious, or say the mind that you don't know yet. You see what I'm saying? That's what she represents. Your deep knowing, intuition. So he comes to her. She's an oracle.
Not the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
I'm sorry.
I said don't worry about it. I'll get one of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh, what's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything? You're cuter than I thought. I can see why she likes you.
Who?
Not too bright, though. You know why Morpheus brought you to see me. So, what do you think? Do you think you're the one?
See, that's the key. Morpheus believes he's the one. He doesn't know if he's the one, if he's the Messiah.
Honestly, I don't know.
Now here's the sign I want y'all to see.
You know what that means? It's Latin. It means know thyself.
So you might want to Get the word Temet Noske. Know thyself. This is what was written over the temples of ancient Egypt, the Delphi temple. When you walked into the temple, you had that sign, man, know thyself. The other part of it is, man, know thyself, and you will know the universe and its gods. The Gospel of Thomas puts it this way, and remember now, the Gospel of Thomas, his name is Thomas, says the same thing in the Gospel of Thomas, which is matter of fact, it's one of the Gnostic Gospels. Huh? No, it's not in the canon. No, it's not. It wasn't in there. It says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. In other words, it's telling you another way of saying, know thyself. That's the salvation that we have to know.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love. You just know it. Through and through. Balls to bones.
Okay? So that's the story of there. He's going to have to eventually... He's not the one, she says. He's not the one. Why? Because he's not ready.
What?
To be the one. Life, maybe. Who knows?
Please, you're waiting for the next life.
That's the way
Which
these
would be
things go.
need movie 2.
What's funny?
Morpheus. He almost had me convinced.
I know. Poor Morpheus. Without him, we're lost.
What do you mean, without him?
Are you sure you want to hear this? Morpheus believes in you, Neo.
Morpheus is the believer.
And no one, not you, not even me, can convince him otherwise. He believes it so blindly that he's going to sacrifice his life.
See, Morpheus is the blind believer. He believes. Any of you know why Morpheus believes so much? I'll tell you why Morpheus believes. Morpheus believes because he's following another program. He's not aware of it, but he's following the program of prophecy. He believes a prophecy. He shared it in the early part of the movie, where there's a prophecy about one is to return. There's coming one who was originally in the Matrix in the earlier version of it, but another one is coming who's going to hail the end of the war between the machines and the humans. Morpheus' belief is related to a prophecy. That's Morpheus. And he believes it so strongly that he's willing to risk his life.
To save yours.
What?
You're going to have to make a choice.
Another choice.
In the one hand, you'll have Morpheus' life. And in the other hand, you'll have your own. One of you is going to die. Which one will be up to you.
So that's how that story ends. So now we're going to move on toward the end, and we're going to see where Morpheus is going to be betrayed by Cypher. It's going to cause the death of all those characters in there except Trinity, as you see it happening now. And eventually Morpheus is going to be captured by Agent Smith. Okay, and we're going to look at this dialogue between Agent Smith and Morpheus. And as the next big stage is where Neo is going to have to make that choice between himself or Morpheus. So you see it is where the Cypher is going to kill all the people that's attached to the Morpheus, attached to the thing. I really could talk about this, but we'll move on from that.
Morpheus is bullshit.
It has to be.
So she has to choose. You know, remember now, she's in the Matrix. The other guy's out the Matrix, standing over their body, ready to unplug them. And so everybody else has died. She's left, and well, let you hear the dialogue.
Come on.
All I want is a little yes or no. Look into his eyes. Those big, pretty eyes. And tell me. Yes or no? Yes. No. I don't believe it.
He thought he'd killed everybody.
Piece of shit, you still good.
Because he asked her, do you believe he's the one or not? And she believes. Why does she believe? We know why Morpheus believes. Morpheus believes because he's reading the prophecy. Why does she believe he's the one? Can you figure it out? It's in the nature of her.
Love.
It's love. She's using her heart. She's the one because she's in love with him. Okay. So now Morpheus is caught by the. They both survive. Now Morpheus is trapped by the. She gets out and goes back to the ship. Morpheus is caught in the hands of the Agent Smith, and so now we're gonna begin to understand it. He's trying
to be a perfect.
Now we're gonna go back to look at Agent Smith's interpretation of the Matrix.
We can talk about Cypher's archetype.
Cypher again is Judas. He's a betrayer. He wants to go back. He got weak.
His role in the Matrix, like that's his job to betray, right?
His job is to betray, like Judas' job was to betray Jesus. So now we're gonna look at Agent Smith. Look at as he tries to break Morpheus. Morpheus represents faith. Agent Smith is the doubter. He's the questioner. He's the shadow. The shadow wants to break your faith. And that's what he's trying to do, break the faith of Morpheus.
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where no one suffered, where everyone would be happy? And it was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world. But
Now that's important because that's going to come up again in the next movie. Because he just said that there was a matrix that existed before this one. That was a perfect matrix. But people kept waking up, and he said entire crops were lost. Because they did not have the programming language to understand humanity. See, what it's saying is that these machines, like the other robotic people that run this world, they spend their time trying to study what makes you tick. You know, do we create a perfect world for them? But there's something about perfection that we can't accept. So you're trying to figure out, how do we explain human thinking? Because that's the key to being able to get control of you. If I can understand your soul, if I can understand what makes you tick, then I can get control of you.
I believe that as a species...
Huh?
I said that is profound about us as far as black people.
What's that?
How we are studied, and they know what makes us tick, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was reading some stuff a long time ago about how they even keep records of what type of Kool-Aid we drink, what color Kool-Aid we drink, what type of potato chips that we like most. All that stuff leaves telltale